Benders Post Game begins now, presented by InsideTheRink.com. Go there for Bruins content, Benders merch. Click your thumbs up and subscribe. Turn on the notifications. The Boston Bruins, after a wet fart of a trade deadline, come up with a 3-1 win over the Washington Capitals, who are more devastated than Bruins fans, to be honest with you. And the Bruins get a big 2 points today and keep plugging away at home. 12 straight at home.
12 straight. Big win today. Big win. Needed it. But they've proven they can win at home. Can they do it on the road?
I'm not entirely sure.
Remains to be seen, I think. Remains to be seen. They needed this one today, though. The Capitals were only, I believe, 4 or 6 points back. So this was a 4-pointer for the Bruins. Put a little distance between them and the Cabs and got to within 1 point of Montreal now. So there's some teams above them that possibly the Bruins could catch, Montreal and Detroit, in their sights, and Columbus nipping at your heels. So they'll have a chance to put Columbus kind of away. They got a couple more head-to-heads with Columbus, and they got, I think, one more with Washington as well. So, destiny is in their own hands. Can they take care of business and get into the playoffs? We shall see.
I mean, isn't it all we have? Honestly, as Bruins fans, isn't it all you have? Like to get to the playoffs and maybe cheer them on to win a round. Like, isn't this all we really have? I mean, now go ahead and make the playoffs. Like, go ahead and try to win a round. I mean, this is what we have to cheer for now. Like, they decided not to make any moves. They decided not to get any more draft capital or assets or whatever. So let's just see what this team can do. And like Don Sweeney said, they deserve it. They come in today. Look, the Capitals are kind of dead in the water, but you had to win. I mean, you thought Nashville was dead in the water, and they weren't. And then last year, when you sold off all those guys, you beat Tampa the next day, 4-0 in Tampa. So there was no guarantee today. Capitals tie the game, and you're like, oh, God. And it's also, look, getting to a point right now where it's getting harder and harder to score. And keep an eye on the fact that the Bruins will have some offensive deficiencies that we thought they had. They got away with for much of the year. Do they get away with it now?
That's a good point. I don't know if they do get away with it now. They don't have a lot of high-end skill. Pastrnak was much better today than he has been the last few games. He was more of a shot-first mentality. I think Sturm and Pastrnak had a conversation about that, and it seemed to get through to David, and he was shooting much more today. Much more assertive offensively, looking for his own shot. But they're going to need him to score. Like, he's the one guy that can do it consistently. And then you have Geekie, who needs, a Pastrnak or somebody else to set him up. So those two guys have got to shoulder a bunch of the scoring load. And then you need guys like Arvidsson, who chipped in today. I thought Arvidsson was great today. You can talk all you want about whether or not you should have traded him for an asset. You probably should have. They're going to sign the guy to an extension. I know it to be true. Like, I just see it down the line, 4 years at times, 4.5 or 5, call it a day. He's going to be here because he's a Sturm guy. He goes to the dirty areas and with a smile on his face. It's weird. He was at the bottom of a pile today in the third period, smiling up at the guy who cross-checked him into the ice. So he has no problem going to those areas to score goals. Had a big goal late, the game winner. And he'll be around. So guys like that are going to need to step up for them, down the stretch here and into the playoffs.
When he scored the goal to give him the 2-1 lead, I said out loud, 3 times 5. Yeah. It's coming tonight. Like, it's coming tonight. Like, that was the type of goal where, like, Don Sweeney's like, okay, when do we, let's get this done right now. And not only that, let's deflect. Let's get some of that negative attention away from what we didn't do in the trade deadline. It's almost like this is the right time to have an extension, even if people might disagree or agree. Today, when he scores the game winner and plays really well, I think you do it like now, this weekend, and then start to kind of deflect away from what you didn't do.
Yeah, it would be a good time for it. He's had a kind of a bounce back season here with Boston, been playing really well. That second line, I thought Zacha was really good today, and he wasn't really particularly noticeable these last few games. So that's good to see. But look, again, they got to do it on the road. Like those same guys need to show up on the road. in a tough environment. Like, it's great when you get last change and you can put those guys out against other team shitbags, but you need them to do it against, the other team when they're matching lines with you. And it doesn't seem to be the case. They struggle on the road. They bad starts on the road. They've been behind a ton. They need to play better on the road. End of a story. This is not a playoff team if they don't start winning games on the road. Simple as that. Because they have 12 of their last 20, I believe, on the road. So you got to figure it out. You got to you have to start doing that thing, or you're going home early.
And it might be in their heads that they aren't playing great on the road, so that could be part of it too. But they're 2 points out from Detroit for that third spot in the Atlantic, so they're actually closer to the third spot than they are from being out of the playoff picture. So they can catch Detroit, and then after Columbus, Ottawa's 6 points behind, Washington's 6 point behind, so it might come down to just Boston and Columbus and Detroit, like those three teams, just kind of who makes it. 2 out of the 3 make it. And I'm just not, at this point, it's getting to the point where they really don't have to worry about any other teams other than Columbus pretty soon here if they win a couple more.
Yeah, and that's important, that you don't have a lot of teams chasing you, that you set your sights maybe on some of the teams in front of you, Montreal and Detroit right now, and catch those guys and don't really worry about who's behind you. Focus on who's ahead of you. Maybe you catch some of those teams ahead of you. And, then Detroit or Montreal has to worry about Columbus catching them. Mm-hmm. So, I would focus kind of getting into that top 3. And so you don't have to end up in a wild card 2 position playing the best team in the conference, whoever that ends up being.
There's word about maybe Andrew Peeke, discussions about an extension with Andrew Peeke, which is kind of out of left field. I didn't see that coming. I don't know if that's how true that is, or if they're trying to lowball the guy and keep him here, or talking him into staying, or what have you. But I didn't foresee.
Yeah, and because he's not a very good hockey player, and I don't know why you're signing him to an extension. Like, this is like the Yoki Hayu extension. It's like the Steve's extension. It's like the Kastelic extension. Like, you didn't need to do any of that shit when you did it. But here we are talking about Andrew Peeke getting re-upped because he doesn't really offer you much of anything. He's supposed to be a good penalty killing guy. I don't really see that. He doesn't give you anything offensively. He's not a great skater. He's not overly physical. He's physical enough, but he's not overly physical. He's not overly nasty. I don't know what the same thing as Yoki Hayu. I don't know what he really gives you that's value added other than a body, and he shoots right-handed.
I don't know. Right-handed defensemen are a little bit harder to find.
They are.
He's a decent penalty killer, which they don't have a ton of that. Like, they need to replace him with another penalty killer. But like you said, he hasn't had a great year. I felt like they're out of favor. Just a couple of days ago, Don Sweeney talked to him as expiring and had no comment about. It felt like he wasn't coming back. It was just sort of a foregone conclusion. And then now you see, there's been talks about it. Are we running this thing back? There's going to be everybody signed that was on the team this year at some point here. Like, is it just running it back next year?
Yeah, why not? Because the team's been really good this whole season, been great on the road. So you should definitely run it back. Yeah, 100%. Re-sign all the guys because the roster's, really competitive. They all try really hard, but they're not talented. So let's keep all the same guys and not upgrade in any way, shape, or form. Sign a bunch more fourth line guys next year. That'll be a good idea. We should definitely do that. And yeah, just run it back with the same crew because it's exciting stuff.
All right, Connor, what do you got?
Usually this time of the year is also when general managers do some business in the AHL, get some guys locked up. Their trade deadline's coming up. I'm on the lookout for a Patrick Brown signing. He's a UFA. Patty Brown, Mr. Importance.
Yeah. Well, they have his brother. His brother's in there.
Yeah, his brothers. Yeah. Patrick and
affair.
Connor Brown. Who's the other Brown?
Richard Brown, Michael
Charlie Brown.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll have to look. I think it began with a C, but it's not.
Oh, Christopher Brown. That sounds right.
There you go.
Yeah,
Christopher Robin. Yeah, I don't look. He's
Chris Brown, but not as physical.
Yeah. So I don't know. Look, it looks like they're running it back next year, and I know that doesn't. I'm telling you, it's not going to end well. And here's the other thing: you're going to run it back if you don't. Let's say you don't make the playoffs. You're going to run it back with the same team again. I don't think that makes much sense either.
I don't understand the roster management. I never have. I don't get it. I don't understand why they're doing this. They know they need to upgrade. They said it was an incomplete roster. So now if we just re-sign everyone, then it's complete. You got all the bodies you need. It's not good enough.
That's a solid point where he did say it was an incomplete roster, and then he's running back with the same incomplete roster.
Yeah, why are you re-signing everybody if the roster is incomplete? How is that possible? What are you doing? What's the plan?
They're going to replace Mikey.
Is it trading guys? What is the plan? Like, where does James Higgins go if every spot on the roster is taken? Where does he play? Where does Matthew Poitras go? Where does Fabian Lysell go? Where do any of these guys go? Like, this has been the problem with Sweeney all along, is they have young guys in Providence that should be getting NHL looks. Should be. Whether you think they're great prospects or not great prospects, doesn't matter. They should be getting looks. They played well enough in the AHL to get looks to see if they're NHL players. And they're not getting them because Sweeney keeps signing all these third and fourth line guys to fill the roster out. How are you going to develop anybody and have anybody on the Bruins if you don't give anybody in your minor league system a chance to actually develop at the NHL level?
You know, as a first round pick, Lysell, and they just haven't given him any more of an opportunity than they initially did. And again, you didn't trade Poitras, you didn't trade Lysell. We're going to do this again next year with these guys. It just seems like Sweeney is really apprehensive to make any type of move. And there were people out there applauding him for
tons of people
for
applauding.
Not doing anything and standing pat and sticking to the plan, whatever that is. I put it out yesterday. What's the actual plan? And that was a serious question. That wasn't me like saying, what's the plan? I'd like to know if someone can tell me a plan. And people are saying, well, they're going to go with the youth. Okay, well, they go with the youth. So what does that mean for David Pastrnak?
Yeah.
And Charlie McAvoy?
That's the part that people don't.
Because they're not going to get there to where they need to be by the time they're 32, 33, 34 years old. Pasternak's going to be 30 in May. Like, so if that's the plan, fine. But you have to decide what's going on with Pastrnak and McAvoy, especially those two guys. Like, what's going on? Like, Hampus Lindholm, do you need him on the team? If you're just rebuilding and waiting for youth to come in and kind of change and kind of step into the next core, then you need to get rid of Hampus Lindholm. Like, maybe that's on the docket. Maybe in the offseason they explore that thing. I have no idea. But it just seems like they have this group of veterans who aren't great, and then they're re-signing them all, and then they're saying, well, we're just waiting for this plan that we've started. And I'd like someone to follow up and say, okay, Donnie, can you be more specific on what that plan is? Because he said it yesterday. We're sticking to the original plan we've had. Okay, what is that? What is that plan? Is it piss and vinegar, or is it youth movement?
Yeah, I don't think they know. I really don't. I don't think they know.
I mean, it's a legitimate question. That's not me being a smart ass. Like, that's you said if it was piss and vinegar, and now you're saying we're sticking to the original plan of keeping our assets and building the pipeline. Okay, building the pipeline doesn't mean you're going to go for the Stanley Cup anytime soon. So what does that mean for the older stars you have?
Yeah, building the pipeline to me sounds like we're trying to improve our minor league system.
Yes.
That doesn't seem like it has anything to do with what's happening at the NHL level.
See, that's a rebuild.
Yeah, sure is.
A rebuild.
It's not a retool. If you're rebuilding your minor league system, you're not retooling on the fly. And that was what they sold us at the beginning of the year.
And I hope Letourneau and Higgins are pretty good, too.
They're going to have to be.
They're going to have to be now. They're going to have to be. So what does it mean for Middlestat? Like you said, like Higgins comes up probably at the end of the year and is definitely on the roster next year. But I mean, if it's up to Higgins, he's definitely on the roster next year. So where does he? So he goes in for Eyssimont. Like that's just the one move. It's everybody else is here, but Eyssimont isn't in. Higgins is in his spot.
Well, Steves is in for Eyssimont today, and you signed Steves to a 2-year extension. So there's another guy. So is Steves going to be watching games? So you signed a guy to a 2-year extension that's going to be watching games because Higgins is being in the lineup.
Let's talk about Alex Steves for a second.
Okay.
He gets walked along the blue line today by an NHL player named Jake. And Chychrun makes a great play and they score. And Steves is left out there hanging to dry, trying to one-on-one with Chychrun. Had no chance at all. And that's a guy who's going 1.7. He just came in, this game? Is
first game in.
First game back. I didn't think he played terrible. There was some nice spots from him. But again, you're talking about a 4A player, an AHLer who kind of a spot guy that you put in there once in a while, that you sign for $900,000 and you bring him up and down 2-way. I mean, and they gave him 2 years at 1.7 per. And I know it's not a ton of money, but it's enough to kind of prohibit you at some point. Maybe it's just a little bit too much so you can't get another guy.
It is a little bit too much. It's a dumb move is what it is. They talked about it a little bit on the broadcast, and it's a nice story for Alex Steves.
Yes.
But, and if Don Sweeney's in the business of creating nice stories for his guys because it's a family atmosphere, I don't want him anywhere near my fucking hockey team. No. I don't. Like, it's a business. We need to put the best team we can on the ice. They talked about Steves, and he's played like almost 300 AHL games. And he's 25 or 26 years old. And now he gets a full one-way 2-year contract with the Boston Bruins for no good fucking reason. You can't give me a good reason. You can't.
I think they like the way this team plays at home. Obviously, I mean, they're 24-8 at home, whatever it is. They like the fact that they win a lot at home and the crowd really likes it and the crowd gets into it and they're still selling the tickets.
Yeah.
So I think that this is what this is just put together a team that the crowd will like, that will play well at home, largely play hard all the time, as much as you can. And that's kind of it. You have your star in Pastrnak, you have some decent players, and that's kind of what it is until the pipeline. But say that. And also, it doesn't mean that, again, David Pastrnak and Charlie McAvoy have any sniff at a ring anytime soon. Go ahead, Connor.
I'm going to ask you a quick question that's a yes or a no before I go into this. Do we think that Billy Jaffe has any kind of in-the-know information on what the Bruins' thoughts and ideas are with the organization moving forward? Yes or no?
He might have a little more than most.
Yes, I think he does. Sure. I think he does. He talks to those guys pretty regularly, I think.
So he came out after the deadline and was obviously frustrated on one of the NESN streams or broadcasts and said that basically the Bruins now have to have a significant move in the offseason after doing nothing at this trade deadline. So I was thinking about that, and I watched the clip a couple times, maybe too many. And I feel like Jaffe was somewhat frustrated that the Bruins did absolutely nothing because there was a plan to probably sell off one or two pieces, but the Bruins played so well that it kind of handcuffed Sweeney. And now he's going to have to do a bunch of business in the offseason because now his roster is completely clogged.
He doesn't want the players to get pissed off. This is what Sweeney has had a problem with since back with Cassidy. He doesn't want the players to get mad. So the players came into it and said, we really deserve to see this through. So what Sweeney did was split the difference. He said, okay, I'm not going to make this huge move to add, but I'm going to keep this team intact. And you get this last 20 games. You get this as a reward for how hard you've played. I don't think that's the way you do business as a general manager at all, but that's what he chose to do. Is he chose to say, okay, you're right. Okay. You may be right to a point. So I'm going to let this group go for the last bit of the season, not trade off any roster guys. And you get this last thing to see if you can make the playoffs together as a team. And then in the off season, because I've always thought this is kind of a fascinating off season coming up, because I think they have to make some moves. You can't come back with the same group again. So maybe Jaffe does have a point, and maybe some of his frustration was he wasn't coming out and literally saying like Sweeney is, giving in to his team, but it seems as though he gave in to his team some, and he felt like he couldn't trade guys off the roster because the players would get upset and he'd lose the team.
Yeah, that's no way to general manage a team.
No.
It really isn't.
No.
You have to do what's in the best interest of the hockey club. You know, if it requires trading Andrew Peeke, you trade Andrew Peeke. You know, as much as, you know, people hate it, or his teammates would hate it, you have to do what you can do for the team. The Washington Capitals traded John Carlson. He's been there forever.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there 17 years. He's played over 1,000 games. You know, and the Capitals team, you know, didn't like it at all, but they went out and played today. It was a competitive game. But Washington got a first and a third. You know, that's a really good haul for that team, you know, and they're probably closer than you are as far as, you know, the forward group and defense. So, you know, they're having a little bit of a down year, but, you know, those are some good assets. So I feel like you have to trade Peeke when you have the opportunity to and not worry about everybody's feelings. But, you know, he's a family guy. You know, he cares about people's dogs.
Well, Fido is happy today.
Yeah.
Because he gets 20 more games with the rest of the team and the other dogs. And
yeah, you can't do the pups and Bruins calendar or whatever it is.
No.
If you trade everybody with dogs, you can't do it.
Yeah. Part of Sweeney's regime has been here is that the players have kind of run the asylum.
Yes.
And this is another instance where they're kind of running the asylum again. He's worried about how much they like him and how much they like the family aspect, and they don't want to be upset and all that because he obviously can't handle that kind of thing. So the players said that they were probably going to be upset. It's funny how Carlson gets traded and the Capitals are devastated, as Spencer Carberry said. But when Marchand get traded, we didn't see a lot of that. Didn't hear a lot of that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
to me. That's it, because it's the same kind of situation. He's a lifelong guy, headed for the Hall type of guy, and then he gets traded after 16, 17 years. It was kind of interesting to me that you didn't hear much of that last year.
I think that's the difference in a player wanting to be somewhere and everybody knowing a player didn't really care to be
want to be there anymore.
Yeah. The Marchand contract issue was a pretty vocal thing throughout the year. I think all the players had months of time to come to peace with that.
There's no doubt that the Swayman thing pissed off Marchand.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt it did. And then he's like, you know what? I'm not taking a discount if this guy's going to fucking hold out and you're going to allow it to happen and then you're going to give him what he wants. I'm not doing that thing. And that's probably what he thought. And that was partially why he plays it up as, if they just gave me $1 million more a year or another year or whatever. I don't even know if that would have worked. I think he was probably upset.
Then he turned around and he fucked us and he took that, hey, just take $1 million and a half less so somebody else can sign culture right to Florida. And they were able to sign every single free agent that was about to walk.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. All right, let's get the Benders Banter. It's presented by Evolve ABA, which offers consulting services from a board-certified behavior analyst to adult day programs, residences, schools, and even businesses using the principles of applied behavior analysis. Evolve ABA is also pleased to offer staff training in collaboration with parents of children with autism and other special needs wishing to learn more about the science of applied behavior analysis. To learn more about Evolve ABA, call Sean Daly at 774-823-5016 or visit evolveaba.net. Victoria, that first period was meh, but the second period better. But they need to connect on the PP. So they get the power play goal from Zacha, bats it out of the air. And as you said, Zacha played well today.
He did.
That was a good sign that they get a power play goal. There's been some times in other power plays and other sequences offensively where they're getting back to not connecting quite the way they should connect. Pucks and feet, pucks just ahead, pucks just behind, making a decision late. So they're not as fluid. But again, as we get down to the last 20 games of the season, the teams are kind of tightening up, and they kind of trying. It's a big game for the Capitals still, even after Carlson and Dowd are gone. They still have a chance. They still have some good players. So they still have a chance. They're not any worse than the Bruins. They're not any worse than Columbus. So they still have a chance to get a wild card. So it's a big game. And, there's going to be a lot of they're all kind of big games going forward for the Bruins. And you're going to see some tightened defenses.
Yeah, I thought they played pretty well on the power play overall. There were some entries that bugged me and some decision making with the puck, but they had some pretty good chances today, and they got a power play goal, which they're going to need that to continue if if they want that shit to if they want the power play to keep working.
Yeah. Severed Soul says, I think this is the type of game we're going to see the rest of the year. Things are tightening up, and they will continue to struggle scoring. And I agree. I think the offensive thing is a little bit of fool's gold or fluky in that you didn't expect some of the guys to score as much and a lot of the balance you got.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think you're going to get less balance. And the guys who score goals are going to score goals, and the guys who don't aren't. And that's going to go right into any playoff they get into.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it recently here with the guys like Huzdinov and Minton that, young guys that have had pretty good seasons for them have struggled a little bit lately scoring goals. Like Huzdinov still a water bug out there, possessing the puck well and doing those things. And Minton's still solid defensively, but the offense there for both those guys is kind of drying up a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle, the kind of playoff push, the whole kind of league tightening up defensively. The speed picks up a little bit, you don't have as much time and space, and see how those guys kind of handle that going forward.
Yeah, and you saw with Minton today, there was some chances he had, and just a little bit late, just a little bit early, just not, because, look, he's 21, and he's not, this adept offensive player. I mean, he went in a couple of hot streaks there early in the season, and people started to wonder, oh, he might be second line, he might be first line, he might be this, he might be that. He's going to be, he's tracking to be a little bit less than a 40-point player for the year. Like, that's kind of what he is right now. Can he be more than that? Maybe. But I see him more as a Zacha type where he's in the 50 range, which is fine. I mean, it's fine because you can dictate what his contract is later, due to that. But I think that's kind of what he is. And, a guy like Minton has, not been quite as offensive, noticeable offensively or impactful. So hopefully in the next 20 games here, he gets back to some of that and shows some flashes they can carry some of the momentum into next year. Andrew Peterkin wasn't a symphony performance, but doesn't have to be another 2 points. And that's a good point, is that at this point in the year, where you're ahead by 3 points, whatever, you just have to keep winning some games however you can. And if this at the end here is what we thought, ends up being what we thought they should be, and they win more 2-1 games, 3-1, 2-0, those types of games, then that's probably how they're going to win overall. Like, that's how they're going to do any type of damage. So if they can show that they can start doing that, then maybe they've made some strides toward being more of a defensive goaltending team, because that's what they have to be. They can't get high-end talent right now.
Yeah, they have to tighten things up defensively, rely on the goaltending, rely on good defensive hockey, and then you have to rely on your superstars, Pastrnak, I guess Geekie, and the power play to score goals. And if you can do those things, you'll have a chance. But they really need to tighten it up defensively, especially on the road. They're porous on the road. So clean some of those things up, and they should be okay.
Sure. Eyssimont says, massive win. He'll miss the Benders post game as he's in Baltimore seeing Messi. Nice. We'll be there in his Krejci jersey in case anyone sees a random black and gold in the stands. Go Bees. I hope you enjoy that.
Attaboy.
Jerry Jingle. Am I the only one seeing an ad for bras for women over 50 years old? What happened to ABA therapy? Jerry, that might be targeted. It may be the algorithms there, buddy.
Is he the one who uses his wife's account or no?
No. Isn't that Peterkin?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it might
Jerry
be.
Jingle?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
maybe your wife is buying bras.
Maybe
is she over 50.
Maybe you need a man's ear. I don't know.
Maybe
or a bro. What's the better name for a male bra? Is it a man's ear or a bro?
What did John Mayer sing? Gravity. That's part of the thing. I don't know, Jerry. But
I like the man's ear personally.
Just be careful of the impulse buy.
Yeah.
Brady, what are there are 2 remaining games with Columbus, are both in Columbus. Yeah, very interesting, Brady, because they can't win it on the road, and Columbus is going to have their fucking pants on fire.
Yes, they
trying
will.
to make the playoffs. They've made moves. They have a good young team. They have some talent. They gave up Chinnikov, who's been fantastic for Pittsburgh, and they're still rolling right along.
Mhm.
I mean, this has started with Johnny's death and how that sort of got the organization going and the momentum. They ran out of gas last year, but now some of those younger guys, and they have Marchenko, and they have Fantilli, and they have guys who are
Werenski,
who have experience now, and
Ken
they
Johnson.
are dangerous.
Yeah,
they're dangerous. They really are. Go ahead, Connor.
A quick aside here with Pejman mentioning if you see somebody in a Bruins jersey at the game. Dropkick Murphys were just in town the other day, and one of my friends went to the concert and randomly sent me and Amanda a picture and said, "Oh my God, there's somebody here in a Bruins jersey." And it was a number 18 Bruins jersey. And immediately I said, "That's probably not a Bruins jersey. It's probably a Happy Gilmore jersey." Sure enough, it was. But the weirder part about it was the lead singer of Dropkick Murphys that it ended up being. So, small world. Maddie's
Small
favorite
world.
band.
Yeah. Big. He probably knows Adam Sandler personally and probably got it signed or something. And Matt's a big fan of the Dropkicks. So you guys should, whenever they're in town, you should always leave an extra ticket for Maddie at will call. So he can see the Dropkicks with you. He loves that shit. Like,
yeah, I do. The only thing their music is missing is melody. Other than that, I mean, they're fantastic. I mean, I just just sounds clamoring together, oddly, and look. Do
you know who Matt would really love? Probably Slipknot, because there's a lot of sounds clamoring together in their music too.
Matt's also a big heavy metal guy.
Oh, big heavy metal.
Heavy metal, death metal.
Yeah.
That's right up his alley.
Yeah.
That and the Dropkicks.
Yeah. If I can lose like 15 years of hearing, I'm all about that kind of music. Just blow my eardrums apart. I love it. Twine, Tickler. It feels like unless Dean and Hagens are world beaters, this team will just slowly bleed out. It's a good question, and it is.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Right now, this is they need to be good.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit on the episode. Yeah. They need to be good, and it needs to be. There's a lot of pressure on those guys. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them to be good, to live up to the expectations, and there's all of a sudden a ton of expectations on both guys. No one wanted to trade Hagens for Robert Thomas. Everybody thinks Dean Letourneau is the second coming of Christ, even though everybody was calling him a bust a year ago. Everybody calling him a bust a year ago. He had 3 points in 34 college hockey games, no goals. And everybody was ready to sell the guy as soon as possible. And now no one wants to trade the fucking guy.
Yeah, it's amazing what a difference 10 months will make or whatever. Yeah.
It's like they're like lottery tickets. It's like a winning lottery ticket. And you think you have one now. And you hope that you cash out. But, there's a guy like Robert Thomas sitting out there that is the winning lottery ticket, actually is. Yeah. And nobody wants that ticket. Everybody's like, no, I'll take my chances, on the variety, on the lucky, I don't know.
Yeah, chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was pretty good in college was the Rizzo dude at Denver.
Sure.
He had a couple of years where he scored many goals. It doesn't mean you're going to be this great NHL center.
Doesn't guarantee anything.
No, and you have to. Again, my biggest concern with Letourneau is, can he play at a pace 200 feet as a center? In high-end games against high-end centers, can he do that over the course of the season? But then into the postseason, can he do that? And at his size, I don't know. Wow, is he a unicorn? And he can develop his skating into being he's pretty fast and he's huge and he has talent. Then he's a unicorn. Then he's
Tage Thompson.
Then he's Tage Thompson. Yeah. And can he beat Tage Thompson? I have no idea. And you don't either.
No.
So don't say you do, because you don't have any idea either. Go ahead, Connor.
Where there's a lot of people who are saying the extra year being there early and facing that adversity is a positive. I think the extra year of playing those games, being on that training regimen is better for his actual physicality than necessarily the games he was playing.
That might be true.
If he can grow more into his body, and we were texting about this about Lohrei and Chychrun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lohrei is a bigger frame who is lighter, and Chychrun has a little bit more weight on him, pretty similar in age. If Letourneau can add a few, man pounds on and come into the NHL and play with that physicality like Minton has, I think he'll be able to succeed and he'll be able to excel pretty quickly. If not, he's going to take the Matty Poitras version and probably go to the AHL and be doomed.
Yeah, it's going to be about his physical.
Yeah, I mean, there's some guys in the NHL that are big guys that maybe aren't necessarily centers, and maybe he ends up getting shifted to the wing. They played a guy tonight, Alexi Protas, is like 6'6". Like, he's a big dude. Took him a little while to get going, but he came to the Capitals and was able to, now he's
he scored 21
goals. Yeah, he's a 20 goal scorer, consistently. Maybe that's Letourneau. That's what you kind of hope for. Like you said, in order for him to be Tage Thompson, he has to turn into a unicorn where his skating is great. He does the physicality and he can handle all those things. He might end up more like Protas, where it's, he can score goals, he gets to the front of the net, good on the power play, that kind of thing, which is fine. That'll be a really good NHL player for you. But he might not end up being that high end, high talent unicorn right out of the gate.
I mean, if he's Blake Wheeler, is anybody like that? I mean, it's better than not being. It's better than being,
Justin Brazeau.
Yeah, it's better than being nobody at all.
Yeah,
Blake Wheeler played a long time and scored a lot of goals. So, that wouldn't be anything to sneeze at. Sebastian Varney, pretend Apricots got the Steve's extension and vice versa. The Apricots extension is a really good one. Yeah, it's a really good one. I mean, their record is outstanding with him in the lineup. So I think that's a really good. That's the type of move that was necessary, and it worked out. Like, the player has to play well, and he has done that. So that's a great move. It's not, but it's like $880,000 for the 2 years. It's like, that's a great contract. Like, to me, if you really like Steve's and want him for multiple years, you give him that type of deal. 2 times 1 or something.
Yeah,
give him 2 times 1.7.
Yeah, the problem I have is no one else is banging his door down to give him that kind of a deal. So why are you giving him that kind of deal?
No.
Like, he's been a career AHL guy. Give him a 2-way, or give him, if you want to give him a 1-way deal, like you said, make it a Aspero contract.
Yeah,
where it's $900,000. Like, here you go. You're guaranteed to be in the NHL, but you're gonna get paid like a 4th-line guy.
If that's a great deal, don't you think they're getting calls on him Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, I mean,
like, honestly, don't they think, what about Steve's? Like, that's a great contract, and he looks like he's got a chance to really blossom. Like, can you include him in the deal? We haven't heard fucking crickets. No one wants the guy at that price. Like, they might give him a shot.
I mean, but here's what I think is that Sweeney thinks he's got the next Morgan Geekie on his hands. That's what I think, because it's like a 2-year deal. Like, Geekie was. The problem with that is, though, Geekie was playing NHL games.
Yeah, and scoring double-digit goals.
Not AHL games.
Yes.
But I think that's what Sweeney thinks. He's like, okay, we might have the next Geekie here, like a little more opportunity, a little more time in the league, and this guy would jumps because he has a good shot. This guy jumps from 7 goals to 14 goals, and then he does 14 goals again. Then we sign him to another contract, and he jumps from 14 to 25.
Getting great value,
and then
higher production.
But that's not going to happen.
That Geekie thing doesn't happen.
Talk about unicorns. Morgan Geekie is a unicorn.
Yeah, it is.
You don't have guys that develop in the NHL in their mid-20s and all of a sudden jump up.
No,
in that kind of production.
Because as I've seen some Bruins ex podcasters say, the NHL is not a developmental league.
It is not.
So, and Geekie developed in the NHL. Doesn't typically happen. Go ahead, Connor.
I think the follow-up to Morgan Geekie was Marat Huznadinov, who went from 57 games played and 7 points to this season so far, 57 games played and 27 points. Don Sweeney didn't go out and acquire that next person so far this season for that next upgrade and that next jump.
He didn't. Well, Lucas Reichel,
who's going to play in the AHL. So, I mean, he's probably not going to crack any NHL minutes.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Did you see the correlation on how that connection was made from Sturm to Reichel?
Yes. It was Sturm played with his dad.
Yeah.
On the German team, and he said Lucas is a good kid and good family.
He loves family.
Yeah.
He has a dog, I think. Yeah.
That's very important.
It's
very important.
But here's what Sweeney typically does. Like
Bruins won't trade for you if you don't have a dog.
No, they don't. They don't. Here's what Sweeney does. He tries to clone players and scenarios.
Yeah, he does.
Bergeron to Elias Lindholm. Now he's doing Geekie, Husnudinov. He's trying to find guys who have some ability. Maybe were drafted high and haven't realized potential yet, and seeing if their coaching and their whatever system can make them into a better player than they have. It has worked with Geekie for the time being. It's worked with Husnudinov, but you have no idea if this is Husnudinov's ceiling, or if he takes a step backward next year. Like he's not scoring a ton of points. Like it's much more than he had, but he had close to zero. Like he was a non-production guy.
Yeah.
And now he's a little bit production guy. So does that extrapolate out to 20 goals next year? And maybe, who knows? Maybe not. I don't know. But this is what he's trying to do, because again, when you can't find high-end talent, what do you try to do? You try to find these little diamonds in the rough. You're trying to find a reclamation project. This is what you're stuck doing.
And
that's what you do when you can't draft and develop.
Well, yeah.
And he said, and we've seen, they can't. So they're going to take someone else's drafted player and try to make him into something better.
They're trying to shoehorn guys into what his former teams were. Like he's trying to fit guys into roles that people had on his former teams. Like he needs to find a Bergeron. He needs to find a Marchand, who's, obviously it's Viktor Arvidsson, but he's a poor man's Brad Marchand. But he plays that kind of in your face. He's a smaller guy, gets to the front of the net, got a little skill, can score a little bit. Like they're trying to find guys to fit those same roles rather than just letting the guys that they've drafted or developed or taken or brought in be themselves and play their own games. But they're like, oh, we need a 200-foot center. We need a Charlie Coyle replacement. Mm-hmm. You don't need a Charlie Coyle replacement. You need a good third line center that plays well, that can be himself. Like let him be Fraser Minton. He doesn't have to be fucking Charlie Coyle.
Right.
Stop trying to make everybody somebody that you used to have on the team. Let them be themselves and have the freedom to play how they play.
Yeah. And that's just it. Guys, remember, Sweeney is smarter than the rest of us. I've always said, you fuckers make too much sense. You should be in charge, probably for half the money. Well, at least.
Yeah.
It tells me it's not about winning.
We should be in charge. You're absolutely right, Craig. We should be in charge of the Bruins. We can split the general manager's duties however we want to do it.
You can always spin it to be something it isn't, or spinning a different way. And there are a lot of people out there on X saying, well, Sweeney, last year he killed it or whatever. And then this year, he did the right thing by not making him, you can always spin it to be
sure.
To continue your narrative that Sweeney's better than everybody thinks and gets a raw deal and all that stuff. I'm going to tell you again, Sweeney did an excellent job with the last core, adding pieces that need to be added. He did an excellent job at keeping that core at lower market value. Other than that, his drafting and development, and then turning in the next core of a Stanley Cup contender, he hasn't been able to do. So that's all fact. So that's what I'm going with. I'm not saying Don Sweeney's the worst general manager in the history of the planet, because he did do some nice things when they were good. When they're not so good and he needs to build the thing back up, not sure he can do it. So, and he hasn't given me any proof that he really can right now. So if a team that barely makes the playoffs or barely misses the playoffs is showing you that he can do it, then you're just looking through your rose-colored glasses. You can do that.
What do you got, Connor?
I'll ask you the question, and I'll give you a little bit of my own context for you to chew on before you give me your answer. How much importance is laid on a NHL general manager being able to build the team himself? And why I ask that question is there's been a handful of, whether you look at Carolina, it was one of their analytics people who got hired as their general manager. Kent Hughes was a player agent, and there have been a couple other player agents who've gotten hired. They're not necessarily, hockey management people. They're from outside of that little shell, but they have people that work with them and report to them that are helping them make those, team roster decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that Don Sweeney's ability to build a hockey team or his replacement's ability to build the hockey team is most important? Or is there something else that you would rather see from the general manager?
I want him to build the hockey team. But that goes to all the people that he has under his, charge. Like, if the scouts aren't getting the job done, get rid of the scouts. Like, if the assistant general manager isn't doing a good job with negotiating contracts or whatever their job description is, get rid of that guy too. Like, I've said before, I wanted a complete gutting and overhaul of the whole damn thing. Like, get people from outside the organization in and start all over again. Like, not Don Sweeney, and look, he didn't have experience in general managing. He was a player. So, he can relate to the players, and that might be part of his fucking problem, honestly, is he relates too closely with the players. He's too much of a best friend, pet the dog. Then
Sweens.
Sweens, then treating it as a business. The player agent guys, they're business people first and foremost. So, they negotiate contracts. They've done that thing. They have relationships with the players, but they've also had to deal with other general managers, other team presidents, whatever, doing the business of hockey. So you might be better off getting a guy like that than having a former player who's just buddies with the players and knows what they go through on a day-to-day and whatnot. I don't know. I don't like the way he handles things. And I want the general manager to do what's in the best interest of the hockey team. And sometimes that takes making hard decisions where people aren't going to be happy with you. Yeah. And you're going to have to live with that.
Right.
And I don't think he can.
And I don't believe that any, like, trading Andrew Peeke or Viktor Arvidsson and Casey Middlestat, pisses off people enough for it to have your whole organization crumble to the ground. Okay, players are going to get over it. Like, teams are going to get over it. Win a few games in a row and everybody's happy. Like, it doesn't last that long where, yeah, my buddy got traded, but the Capitals, Alexander Ovechkin said it was the worst day of his pro career or whatever. Well, next time they win, he'll be happy. Like,
I'll be fine.
It's just it's fine at the end of the day. Like, but again, this has been an organization that's been in their own little cocoon since the beginning of time. Adam McQuaid, who I liked as a player, and I would hate for him to be mad at me, but is he a player development guy? Like, again, he was a guy who was helping defensemen and was, joined the organization after retirement, and now he's the head of player development. Maybe, maybe he has an eye for it all. I don't know, but maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I don't know if Adam McQuaid has the tools or the qualifications to do that job. I have no idea. I'm not saying he doesn't, but I'm not saying he does either. So, it just, and they don't pay a ton of money, I'm sure. Look, this is the Bruins. They probably don't pay their coaches and scouts a ton of money, the most in the league. They probably don't do that thing either. So who are you getting to in those positions? So I don't know. I mean, they haven't really identified guys in the last few years here. The 2021 draft now, I think it is 21 with Lysell. I mean, guys now, like, was it Harrison?
Yeah,
or Edward? One of those two guys was in that. And I looked at that 2021 draft now, and it's like Ty Gallagher and Ryan Mast and a guy who they just traded, and it's Lysell and, somebody else, and that's about it. Like, that's just 4 drafts ago or whatever it is. Like, you have to start hitting on some of these people. So the 17 was Swayman, I think, but 18, 19, 20 is like a wash right now. And then 21 is getting there. So that's 4 years of drafting.
Yeah, so, you wonder why the team's in such bad shape.
Yes.
I mean, there you go. And look, they were trading first round picks, so I understand that.
But you can still hit on, it doesn't mean you miss on everybody else.
Yeah.
You don't throw your hands up.
Yeah, so the other part of that is if you're trading first round picks, you should have gotten players back in return that would be part of your team.
Yes.
So if you're trading first round picks and then
Tyler Bertuzzi's gone,
and then you let those guys walk, that's your own fucking fault.
Yeah, that's bad.
For mismanaging the rest of the roster.
It is. That's bad.
Would you rather have Casey Middlestad at 5.75 or would you rather have Tyler Bertuzzi? I think you'd rather have Tyler Bertuzzi right now.
I would. Yes.
So why didn't they re-sign him when everybody was talking about, he's going to go for this amount of money to, Chicago.
And you willingly traded for a guy who has that same salary cap.
Yeah. It's not having any foresight. Like Bertuzzi had some chemistry with some of the guys here. Like you would much rather have him right now in his, what does he have? 24 goals or something like that?
Yeah.
I think you'd probably rather have him, wouldn't you?
I mean, he's a Bruin type of guy.
You've traded some of those first round picks for players and going for it while Bergeron was still here. I get all that, but some of those guys should still be on the team if you're giving first round picks up for them.
And you have to hammer a second and third round pick. You have to develop those guys. You have to find a guy who's going to be a third rounder and be an impactful NHL player, like a Braden Point. Guys who Viktor Arvidsson, I think, was 5th rounder or 5th, 4th, or 5th. Yeah. He was way down the chart.
Speaking of Viktor Arvidsson, coming from Connor Ryan after the game, Viktor Arvidsson says about his contract extension, "We haven't got to that point yet. I think I'm more focused on this group and what we're going to do this year, and we'll see what happens for the future." That sounds a whole lot like not extension to me.
That sounds like a guy who wants to cash in.
Yeah.
It sounds like a guy who doesn't want to go year to year, who wants to get a raise.
And that proves my point that Sweeney gave in to the players and said, okay, I'm not going to necessarily add unless I get a really good trade. I'm not going to add, but I'm not going to trade Arvidsson and Peeke and these guys. And I'm going to give you guys the last 20 because you earned it. What a terrible fucking way to manage the hockey club and organization. And now Arvidsson might walk for nothing. After a 22 goal season, he might walk. If he walks, I'll tell you right now, if he walks, we're going to have a Viktor Arvidsson special right here on YouTube Live. We are. It's just, we're going to call whatever team he goes to, and we're going to get that guy on. It's just ridiculous. That would be ridiculous. And I don't care who you are as a Sweeney toter. You can't, there's no way you can support that. No way. They missed the playoffs and he walks.
Continued on Mr. Arvidsson here. He noted that he had, quote, a little bit of control as far as the trade deadline was concerned.
I didn't want to go anywhere.
Yep, no movement clause.
No movement clause.
And he was relieved to be sticking around.
We'll see how that all
got held over a barrel there.
Yeah, so, we'll see how it all shakes out. But I don't think he would have traded him anyways. I really don't.
I don't think so. I think he wanted to let this team. That's what he meant by deserve whatever they deserve. After yesterday, the Bruins have no roster space or margin for error to implement young talent. Assuming they make an exception for Higgins, where does he play? I think bottom six would be a huge mistake, says Hockey Talk. I would put right on the top line, like I said before. Higgins, Lindholm, Pastrnak, and then keep your second line together or whatever, and have Geekie on the third line with Minton and Husnidov like he was today or whatever it is. That's what I would do. I would put Higgins on the top line with Pastrnak and see if there's any on left wing and see if there's any chemistry you can start developing over the next 20 games. I think that's the way you have to do it because of the fact that he needs to be a top 6 player. You can't throw him down the third and fourth line and bench him 7 minutes in because he's not doing much, because he's playing with Hammerhead 1 and Hammerhead 2. Like, you can't do that. So it's got to be top line for me. What are the odds the Bruins win on the road tomorrow? Well, here's the thing, Keith. No Crosby, no Malkin. And you have to win a road game, and you are already hearing it about the road record. The coach talked about the road record. The general manager talked about the road record. You have to win tomorrow. And you should be playing some desperate hockey tomorrow to win. I think they should win with those guys out. But you just beat the Penguins. The Penguins are in a playoff spot firmly. They need to keep winning. And they're at home. This is going to be an interesting game.
Pastrnak mentioned it on the pregame, too, that he knows that they have to be better on the road. Everybody knows they have to be better on the road. So it's time to, put up or shut up. Yeah. Like, you need to win tomorrow.
I can see like a 3-2 overtime win for the Bruins.
I think they lose again.
But I think they lose again.
Because I just don't think they have what it takes to win on the road.
Against the Pens without Crosby and Malkin. Yes, Victoria. We'll see. Playing meaningful games for Minton and Husty will pay dividends for next year and going forward. Yeah, for Minton, sure, Keith. Hustadinov is still kind of a wild card for me. He's probably in the plan for next year, after this year. He's been versatile up and down the lineup, which they like. I don't know with him. I just don't know. I mean, he needs to do it a couple years in a row. Like with Geekie last year when he scored 33, I still wanted to kind of see him get close to that, or now beyond that this year. I still wanted to see him, the consistency. Can he do it again? And he did. So now I feel confident that that guy's going to score goals. Who's Nadinov? I don't know. It might just be one of those fluky years where things started to come together and he played with decent players and he was able to, he fit well on the team and he's able to score a few goals. Maybe next year he scores fucking 4 goals. I don't know. So I don't know about him. I think it's valuable, the playing time he's getting now. Sure. I don't know about next year's plan. And he could be involved in a deal if Jaffe's right and they're going to make some sort of deal. He could be a throw-in in that deal. And honestly, I think it's a great move for them. If they can get any type of value out of Hustadinov now, and they can put him as a sweetener in a deal, I think that's great. I think you do it.
He's still a young guy, and consistency is important. It's one of the biggest things on proving that you're an NHL player. So, he can come in and have a good year. Can he back that up with another good year? We'll see. That's the important part. That's how you establish yourself as an NHL player. Can you do it multiple years in a row and not yo-yo back and forth? Like Steve's hasn't proven it, but he's still got a contract extension.
Victoria, do you think if the Bruins do make a run, it will help bring in high-end players? Well, here's an interesting thought, Victoria. And Victoria always has one of those sneaky little
She has good
points.
questions.
She does. She has one of those sneaky little points. And this is a sneaky little point. The tax thing hurts. The fact that I don't know, I feel like the Bruins across the league, I'm not sure people know the plan either. And I don't know if that's going to be the problem. The thing is, you're going to have to pay high-end players high-end money to come. I don't know if you can get them in trades. I don't think you can. So as far as a free agent, boy, it's really going to be hard for you to do it unless you really have the intangibles of, if there's a guy like Pastrnak a lot, like it's a Willie Nylander. He's really good friends with Pastrnak. It's that type of thing. Like there's going to have to be other draws, I think, to come as a free agent, because in the last 20 years, the Bruins haven't had, Chara and Savard. There hasn't been anything close to that since. So I think it's winning teams, absolutely, put you up there, but you have to win and you have to show that you have a chance to win next year. Like if they win a couple rounds this year, then maybe you could get somebody to come and say, we need you to finish this thing off.
I think it helps. Like, I think the winning certainly helps. Like, they're not going to go to a team that's in the lottery, So making the playoffs and winning a round or two helps. But like Maddie said, you're still probably going to have to overpay to get somebody to come here. One, because of the tax, but two, because, there's other destinations that are attractive. The Florida teams, Vegas, teams with a lot of money, teams with a good young core already established. Like there's a bunch of teams out there and other teams with good tax situations, Dallas, the Florida teams, teams like Carolina, nice living area. Like all that stuff matters now more than it has before. So yeah, you have to win, and have a guy like Pastrnak that maybe, a high-end player could play with. That's attractive as well.
Maybe if the American players really want to start coming to American teams, that might help you.
Sure.
So, but I don't know if that's true or not. I think, look, we're a sensationalist kind of society. When something big happens, it's like the fad of the day. Like it's going to start wearing off. And then we get into next year, it's about money. It's about location. It's about, the team. It's about, how good the team is. It's about the draw. It's about the facilities. It's about many, many different things. It's about endorsement opportunities. It's about a ton of different things. So I think that's going to be far down the list, and that thing's going to fade off after this Olympic thing. Eileen coming in with a $20 super sticker.
Yes.
Our live studio audience.
Yeah.
Today.
We must
very thankful for that.
So it's almost like we charge tickets.
She's got a Bruins Benders. It was $20 to sit front row.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
$20 for a front row seat.
Front row seat. I mean, that's a fucking steal. That is.
Think of concerts these days.
Yeah.
What a fucking bargain we are. God damn it.
Jesus Christ. Jesus.
And Maddie gives a little extra benefits too. So you got that
benefits from me. Jesus Christ, that's the VIP. I think you're short of us. I think we get what is that, 20?
Yeah, you're only worth $20. That's what it boils down to.
And 18 of it is this show. Yeah. That's Smitty's tip. Okay.
She tipping you later. That's much, or maybe you're tipping her later.
Yeah, maybe. Sweeney's inherited a good core and wrote it as long as he could, says Zach. Yes. That's why he squeezed
the tip by writing it as long as he could.
What's that?
And I'll tell you later.
Who's this? Ace in the hole. Ace says Sweeney is much better than the average GM.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know about much better.
I don't know about much better.
But
I really don't. But
yeah, I think there's certainly some things that he does better than.
Yeah, he's probably middle of the pack.
Yeah.
I
like Yarmo in Buffalo. I like Bill Zito in Florida.
Yes.
I like, so there's some guys
Carolina.
Carolina. There's some guys out there that run good programs.
Yeah.
And,
Billy Guerin.
And have good plans and have, established culture just like the Bruins do. So I think there's other people probably who do it to me a little bit better than he does, but he's not the worst for sure. There's other guys out there who are worse than him.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And Ace, you're right. Nil's another guy.
Yeah.
For sure. And then he says, who wears the C next year? You know who I think it's going to be? Viktor Arvidsson. Honestly,
is that what keeps him here?
Honest to God, I think he's going to be the captain
here
next
year.
Yeah. 3 times 5, and he's the captain.
Yeah, it could be.
I think so. I think this is going to be the out of left field. They've been talking him up as a leader so much that, to me, with negotiations coming, I think they use that they did it with Chara.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think he's, you're going to be the captain. You
don't think that would crawl right up like McAvoy's ass?
I don't know. Maybe McAvoy. I don't think Pastrnak wants it.
I don't think so either.
I think McAvoy might be the only guy who may be like, really? But honestly,
I think they might give Arvy an A. I think they give McAvoy the C, and they give Arvidsson an A.
Okay. All right. So
Connor wants to chime in.
So this is another reason why we should be the general managers of the Boston Bruins. There is no one on this roster that deserves that C more than Nikita Zadorov. He is the type of person that you want to be the captain of your roster. Every time they have a shitty game or something bad happens,
yes, he does.
He's out there in the media, taking the chin music.
Yeah.
And he's the type of person on the ice who is dictating the style of play on the ice.
I think it's true. And Zadorov would be my choice.
Mine too.
And has been for a bit.
Yeah, we both agree that, he's the type of guy that will stick up for his teammates. He answers the tough questions when other people won't talk to the media. He's pretty honest. He's been honest about things within the locker room that, maybe rankled some other guys' feathers a little bit. But that's kind of what you need a captain to be. He has to sometimes say the hard things, say things people don't want to hear in order to get them to play better. And I'm not sure McAvoy's that guy. He's more of like a, everybody's in it together, kind of a buddy. I'm not sure he could tell, Elias Lindholm or Hampus Lindholm, look, stop taking penalties every shift, or we need more from you 5-on-5. Like, I'm not sure McAvoy's the guy to speak up in those situations. Like, he plays hard all the time. So, and I guess Bergeron was more of a quiet leader that played hard and wouldn't be more the talkative personality in the locker room. And maybe that does go to a guy like Arvidsson. So maybe it's more of a committee thing. But if you want an overall guy who's going to do all the things the right way, it's Zadorov.
Ace, I about blaming the GM and all this stuff, like, I don't think it's lazy. I think there's, the general manager of the Boston Bruins, Don Sweeney, it's time for the team to try to get back to Stanley Cup contention. Like, you went through that last core, you didn't get the second one you wanted, or the third one it should have been. And now you're trying to, what we're saying is that we just don't believe that he really has, I don't know if it's an idea, probably an idea. I don't know. He probably has an idea or whatever, but I just don't think he's really been able to come up with kind of the next core and advance the team. I think it's been a slow process because they haven't been able to develop players, which he's admitted to. Sometimes a savvy trade here or there, he's not either willing to do or hasn't been able to find the right agreement with it. So, there's been things about Sweeney that I've liked. I thought he's done pretty well with, but right now in the last couple of years here, I think the drafts he's had with Letourneau and Higgins and what the projection seems to be pretty good. So maybe that thing's getting a little bit better. And some of the other, like getting Will Zellers in a trade and those things have been good. He's been identifying those players. So it's not all terrible, but when he should trade off, assets, or at least a semi-asset who they're not going to continue on with the future, he should do that and not let a guy like Andrew Peeke walk because he wasn't able to get a deal done or at least get an asset in return for that. And so he said that he wanted to improve the team and add to this team he had. He didn't do that, but he also didn't add to any type of future that they could have, add an asset or two either. So that's what the question is from us. So, I mean, we keep a steady eye on all this, and the GM can be criticized.
He said it was an incomplete roster himself.
Yeah.
And he's in charge of it. So what does that say? And he went out the year before, had $21 million in cap space and spent it on Elias Lindholm, Nikita Zadorov, and then a Jeremy Swayman holdout. Like, that's not good roster management. That's not good asset management. That's not good contract management. Why did Elias Lindholm get almost $8 million a year? It's because you were trying to pretend he was Patrice Bergeron, and he was a 40-point guy. He was a 40-point guy in Vancouver. He was a 40-point guy before he left Calgary. Like, he's a 40-point guy. Why did you give a 40-point guy $8 million a year? Doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, it doesn't.
Because you watched him play 6 years ago with two of the best players in the game. Yeah. That doesn't help your team. Like, he's hamstringing the team with some of these contracts that he's doled out. Where if you're Pavel Zacha, aren't you looking at him and saying, "I'm just the player that Elias Lindholm is"? Are you going to give me 7.75?
He's a better player than Elias Lindholm.
Well, there you go. Are you going to give me 8? Because he built it into his own roster, saying this is what this guy is valued at. His production is this, which is awful. He's not good 5-on-5. He scored, a handful of power play goals. And to me, it's a roster kind of mismanagement with filling in some of these contracts and some of these players in holes they don't belong in.
And I agree on Lysell. They should trade Lysell. Should trade him a couple of years ago. They should dump him or make one of those Harrison, Jackson, Edward trades and trade Lysell and just move on from it. And we'll talk about that Wednesday in the live episode about prospects and hanging on too long. I think that's a valid point that I've heard about in the last couple of days here about, maybe teams should think about, swapping prospects more often to see if change of scenery will help. Does Hagens make his debut this season? Yes.
Yeah, I think so. BC has a big game tonight. Essentially, if they win, they are pretty much guaranteed an NCAA spot. If they lose, they would most likely have to win the Hockey East tournament to make it in. So if they lose tonight, he's going to make his debut sooner rather than later. If they win and they go and get into the NCAA tournament, they make a little bit of a run there. It could come down to maybe the last couple of games, possibly. And if that's the case, and you're still kind of, on the edge of whether or not you make the playoffs, I don't know if he would get a chance. But if you've already kind of figured out, you're in, then they would give him a chance, I think.
Yes, I think so. And it might be a blessing that BC doesn't make it so they can get here and get a couple 3 weeks with the Bruins. Maybe that's why, I don't know. They only have, I think, 44 contracts, so they have some room for roster ads. Andrew Gassol's another one.
Yeah.
And I think both of those guys will probably be signed. Gassol will probably go to Providence. And Hagens will, I would imagine, I would like to see him at least get a few games here with the Bruins out of the gate and see, kind of give him a taste for that. And then decide red training camp in the summer, what the path might be.
Craig Campbell.
Yeah. Smitty says, Smitty's pissing him off.
How am I pissing? Look.
He's clearing out his gutters, and you're fucking right on. Like you are so right that it's making him angry. Yeah. Christ. Yeah. Go ahead, Connor.
I would make the case that Pavel Zacha is not actually that much better or better at all than Elias Lindholm. I just compared all of their stats, and Pavel Zacha has played 59 games and has 42 points. Elias Lindholm has 49 games and 40 points. So 2 less points in 10 less games.
Similar.
His face-off percentage is higher. His time on ice is higher.
Well, that's because he paid him $8 million.
Yeah, right.
What I'm saying is, when you go into contract negotiations, your importance on a team is also on the table and what's negotiated. As what they say when arbitration comes up. I believe
30. Elias is 31.
Elias is 31 and Zacha is 28. So that'll factor to some extent.
So here's the thing: you're looking at least $7 million a year for Zacha.
Easily.
Like at least if you think he's slightly less or just about, you're looking at 7.5 a year. And Elias got what, 7 years?
7.75.
Yeah. No, what I think you're really looking at is James Hagens coming in and showing you if he can be the person or not, so you can trade Zacha next year at the deadline.
Connor, God damn it. That's a good point, is that if you bring in Hagens and he shows that maybe he can play full-time next year, you give him that opportunity, then you can dangle Zacha in the offseason coming into the last year of his contract. I love it.
Maybe it's that, but maybe it's Casey Middlestat.
I love
it. They
dangle.
I
love it.
Maybe it's both, because at the end of next year, you're assuming that Letourneau is going to come out and need a roster spot as well.
Yes, the following year.
Yeah,
you don't have to trade either of them this offseason. You can ride both of them until the deadline next year and trade them as rentals.
Yeah. I mean, look, you are creative. We've talked about this before. You are creative. You're a Carolina GM aficionado, where they make bold moves and creative moves and use the cap and their retention and all that. Don Sweeney is not that guy. He's not that guy at all. He's not creative. He doesn't have any balls on him. He doesn't like to make hockey trades. He likes to win trades. So, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But he likes to have his veteran, experienced centers. He's not going to just throw James Higgins in there at 2C and say, go, James, play 18 minutes a night. Like, that's not how they operate. If they operated that way, they wouldn't have taken fucking Korpisalo back in the Allmark trade. They would have given the job to Bussy or DiPietro and saved themselves, $2.5-3 million, whatever it is. He doesn't want to rely on young guys. He never has. They don't like to rely on young guys at all. That's why half the Providence Bruins team doesn't get chances to play in the NHL, because they can't rely on young guys. They don't want to. They make mistakes, and he just hates it.
That's what Matt Curtis just said about Higgins is going to play wing in the NHL, I believe. Yeah, he might go back and forth a little, but he's going to be
a winger. He's playing wing at BC.
Yeah, he's going to be a winger. So that's going to be fine. Maybe they trade Zacha and they bring in another center or something. But I think you can still see where you have in Higgins. If you do, then that does make Zacha a little more expendable. I mean, you can kind of figure that thing out, I guess. Maybe Minton. Maybe they come in with Minton as a second line center next year.
Connor would love that.
Oh my God. He's going to need like a protective screen. That's going to be a big deal in the Green household.
It's going to be a big deal.
Yeah. Going to need a fucking mop bucket.
Seen Connor in the showers, have you?
Yeah. No, not that big.
Okay.
All right. Coming up tomorrow. Let's go 3 up, 3 down.
3 up, 3 down.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
You go downtown.
Oh, downtown first?
Yeah.
Number 3. You took me off guard.
Yeah.
Caught me off guard.
Sometimes.
Go downtown first.
Yeah, on your toes.
Here we go. Number 3, we'll go with Washington players. Number 3.
Yeah.
Jacob Chikrin was a -1.
Okay.
He had an assist. He had 5 shots, 5 block shots, and 2 hits.
One big one on Elias Lindholm.
Yeah, he did. He crushed Elias Lindholm.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll take him off the list because he crushed Elias Lindholm.
Yeah, he did.
We'll give it to Dylan Strome. He was a -1, 1 shot. No other statistics to focus on. So he was number 3. Pierre-Luc Dubois was a -2. He had 3 giveaways and no shots, no hits, no nothing. So he was number 2. And number 1, let's give it to Tommy Wilson because he likes to run around and hit people and cause havoc. He was a -2 with a penalty and a giveaway. So Tom Wilson, not the kind of impact you'd like to see from one of your leaders after John Carlson gets traded. So there you go.
And a question for Ace, if you're still here. Ace, do you think if they miss the playoffs this year that Sweeney has one more year to make the playoffs or he gets fired at the end of his deal? 3 up. David Pastrnak. He had 6 shots on net. I thought he played better than he has been. I think he's dinged up, but I thought he played better than he has been today. Viktor Arvidsson, 2. Big goal, game-winning goal, 18 on the year. And then Pavel Zacha, I thought, was number 1. Batted out of the air to score. I thought he was really good today.
He was.
And he has these games where it's particular. If you look at his splits, home and road, it's alarming.
Well, that's why I was talking about it earlier in the show.
Yeah,
you need to see some of these guys that have played well at home play well on the goddamn road.
Yeah, and Zacha's one of them. But Zacha's up the top of the list.
One of the biggest culprits.
Yes,
we need to see it on the road, Pavel.
Yes, and they're on the road tomorrow at Pittsburgh. What do you
got? Pittsburgh wins 4-2. That's my go-to.
4-2.
Yeah, because it's Korpisalo back to Korpi, right?
Yeah. It would be back to Korpi, right?
Yeah, back to Korpi.
I would assume.
Probably.
Although, yeah, I would assume.
You can't go back to Sway back-to-backs. They should have played Sway on Thursday, played him today, and then went to Korpi Sunday. Or went Sway, Korpi today, and then Sway again tomorrow.
So Pittsburgh tomorrow, and then they play the Kings at home Tuesday and the Sharks at home Thursday. So those are got to be that's got to be 4 points. Has to be 4 points.
Yeah.
If you win those 2, you tie the longest home winning streak with the 2022 team at 14. So if you win tomorrow and then win the next 2, then you have the Caps on the road following Saturday. So this week it's
a big week.
Big week, and you should get a few points out of this. You absolutely should. So did Ace isn't on there? Okay.
No.
He must have jetted. Mike, I'm gonna answer your question. Yes. He's gonna get fired if they don't make the playoffs this year. Next year is playoffs or bust. Guaranteed. Whether they come out and say it or not, it's guaranteed playoffs or bust. Here's the worst case scenario for Sweeney. They miss the playoffs. Higgins comes in, doesn't play great, looks out of place. They miss the playoffs. They come in next year and Higgins starts in the AHL. They get off to a terrible start.
Yeah.
And then you got to really start wondering if there needs to be a change of general manager. So
there does need to be a change.
There has been, but yes.
Yeah. Craig Campbell loves me. So I just want to read this one comment because why not pump my tires on the way out?
Sure.
Smitty, I'm loving you more and more. Preach it. Appreciate you, Craig Campbell. You know what I love is you saying nice things about me in the comments. So keep it up, Craig.
Smitty doesn't have a shirt yet.
Watch out, Linda.
Yeah.
Smitty doesn't have a shirt. I have a shirt now. Smitty does not have a shirt.
Yeah. We're gonna
a Smitty preach it shirt.
Yeah.
Might be
yeah. He is because everybody knows me as a church guy. I'm a big church guy.
Oh yeah. You are a God-fearing individual.
Yeah, big church guy.
Big church. Take us to church, Smitty would be a fucking beautiful.
Who's that? Hosier? Is that
Hosier?
Sings that song?
Good pull, yeah.
Take me to church. Is that
Take
him?
me to church.
He's got to have a Smitty snowblower shirt.
Smitty snowblower robot.
Yeah. I need a snowblower robot. Is that a thing?
It is. Yeah.
Is it?
It is. It's about $10,000, but isn't it like big time
that's something
money?
worth investing in?
Yes.
When these
I won't be the plug guy.
When these motherfuckers get wealthy, he's gonna have a robot snowblower. Yeah. It's
gonna take more.
Or just live somewhere that you don't have fucking.
Well,
snow.
that's that. I mean, I've already told my wife I want to move. I said it, and I meant it. Like I want to move today. I said when we were in the middle of that storm where we were getting fucking 30 inches of snow. I said I want to move right now. Right.
I think we should start that tip jar we've been talking about. Throwing up the tip jar in here, saying, "Hey, throw into the tip jar." To get the new robot.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been a good one today. Bruins win 3-1 over the Washington Capitals. We'll do it tomorrow, 4:30 start on TNT.
Yeah, so we'll be here. About 7 o'clock, 7:15 in that neighborhood.
Yeah, join us again.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Until then, as always, go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye.